A great deal of fallout following President Trump's surprising announcement of complete troop withdrawal from Syria. This morning, the president took to his favorite site, Twitter, to say this: "Getting out of Syria was no surprise. I've been campaigning on it for years, and 6 months ago, when I very publicly wanted to do it, I agreed to stay longer. Russia, Iran, Syria, and others are the local enemy of ISIS. We were doing their work. Time to come home and rebuild. #MAGA. Now, even Russian President Vladimir Putin touched on this very topic of U.S. troops in Syria earlier today during his big annual presser.
Is the presence of American troops needed in Syria? I don't think so. Let's not forget that their presence there is illegitimate. It was not agreed, neither with the UN Security Council nor with the Syrian government. If the US plans to withdraw, that is the right decision.
For more on this, I'm being joined now by former Pentagon official Michael Maloof. Mike, as always, love having you here for insight.
Thank you.
President Trump is receiving a lot of pushback from the Hill, including the Pentagon, for this decision on withdrawing troops from Syria. Why do you think this is happening?
Well, you're going to hear from the professionals who live this stuff day in, day out, from the Pentagon and National Security Council. And they're looking at it from a strategic political standpoint, also how this relates to Iran. I think domestically, I don't think it matters all that much unless we were to go to war. I don't think most of the American people really understand what's really going on with respect to Syria, because it is so fluid and it's very complicated. But the professionals believe, the ones that out of the Pentagon, the NSC, they see this more from a strategic standpoint. They see that it's a win for Vladimir Putin, for Iran, and for Turkey, and not for the U.S.
I see. So it's a world stage, what we look like.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a saving face campaign?
Syria was to be our entree back to remaining relevant in the Middle East, because we've lost so much influence in that region. As a consequence, it's now, this was the last vestige. And it was also one of the other countries that's really upset about it is Israel.
Interesting.
And I would not doubt that Israel will pull something to basically keep us there and maybe even drag us into a further conflict.
Interesting. Well, Trump, though, previously criticized Obama for withdrawing from Afghanistan prematurely because this gave way for other terror organizations to grow. You and I have discussed this in depth for years now. Is it too early to claim victory over ISIS, and does this put Syria at risk of potentially growing new terror groups?
There's not going to be any such thing as victory over ISIS. Even the Pentagon is saying there's still 30,000 ISIS fighters between Syria and Iraq, and they're trying to somehow justify the president's decision, even though they're opposed to it.
Yeah.
ISIS has metastasized, frankly, into 34 other countries since it lost. Even though it has lost its caliphate, but it is even more dangerous now because it's more of an insurgency group. So they can crop up at any time, and they're in the predominantly Sunni area. So, and this is, at least the United States had some containment there. They were hoping to maintain a base there. That might have deterred ISIS somewhat. Yeah. But hopefully, Syria will be able to take over and do its job.
Well, Mike, you bring up a really good point about not really claiming victory over ISIS, because they can't be defeated. Yeah. Like you said, they've fractured off. Yeah. They've also influenced a lot of lone wolf attacks. They've also influenced their own homegrown terror from each respective person's country, whether it's France or Belgium or even some here in the U.S. Can you talk to us a little bit more about ISIS's influence and how that's why we can't defeat them?
Well, ISIS is, as I said, has turned into more of an insurgency. They will unite temporarily with other groups as they have, and the other unspoken terrorist group that's huge is Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is actually becoming stronger in Syria.
They're back.
And they're back. They're back. And they may unite temporarily with ISIS to form a united front in order to accomplish what they want to do. Then they'll go off and fracture up like they've done before. But ISIS used to have Al-Qaeda as an element until it got into Syria, and then they decided to split. So their ideology is very, very similar, very fundamentally the same. It's just how the methodology of how they go about it.
So in a way, the caliphate kind of kept them contained at least to one region.
Yeah.
So we could pinpoint where they were and where to attack.
Yeah.
At this point, they're kind of everywhere. Now, the Kurds have been a key ally to U.S. forces fighting ISIS, helping navigate this dangerous mountainous terrain. You mentioned yesterday that they'd be left holding the bag. Do you foresee any chance of a sovereign territory being carved out for the Kurds as Syria works to rewrite their constitution?
Well, not if Turkish President Erdogan is still in office and feels the way he does. He regards them as a terrorist group. He wants to actually go back into northern Syria and take them out. It's almost as though Trump has agreed with that. And basically, and you're hearing complaints.
Tacitly allowing it.
Tacitly allowing it, and of course this gets to the question of why did Trump suddenly make this announcement out of the blue?
Right.
He had that conversation with Erdogan just a few days before. But Kurds are left hanging, and Russia has backed the Kurds in the past. The question is, I think that because Russia supports the Turks moving in to the northern portion, they probably are backing away from Kurdish support as well. So I don't see them getting a sovereign area. They may try to work out a deal with Assad of Syria if he can move his forces back in, but I think that tends to be remote because Assad really only placated the Kurds for as long as he was able to keep ISIS out of the regions very early on in the Civil War.
A very interesting topic to discuss, and so many moving parts. As always, thank you for your expertise. Mr.
Pleasure.
Michael Maloof.
Thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.